Israel is a very stable and vibrant democracy. I'm very proud when Israel was founded. They had a choice. A lot of the European Jews who immigrated here, they were like European socialists. And there was a fear they might go Bolshevik, Soviet. But they chose democracy. It's one of the unique things about Israel. They chose a Western democracy, Western oriented, over being part of the Soviet orbit. It was a deliberate choice, even by a lot of Russian Jews. And, it's been a good, stable democracy, but now they've got these unprecedented, over a year now, 3 elections to try and just get to a new government. There's nothing like it. It's hard to find another precedent in the world. I know the Italian government, they've had like 1,000 governments since World War II or something. We joke about it, but it's very unusual here for Israel. And I've seen swings of the pendulum where you can see a clear direction and between right or going to the left or whatever. But this electorate right now seems stuck in this area where there's a huge, about a third of the country is pro-Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's longest serving prime minister now. So many good qualities and abilities in security and economics and other areas. A true Western statesman in his generation. But then you got about a third of the country that is anti-Bibi. He's corrupted Israel, the democracy, trying to get better press coverage. I don't think anyone, I handle media relations for the Christian Embassy, I don't think anyone should be criminally prosecuted for trying to get better coverage in the press. That's a dangerous ground to be on, but he's got to answer for these things. There's been 3 probes against him, and he's now been indicted. And this blue and white party under Benny Gantz is formed. And it's not necessarily people supporting Gantz, it's they want to get rid of Netanyahu. And the guy in the middle, Avigdor Lieberman, who can swing it either way, for 10 years he spent his time in the right-wing camp with Netanyahu, but he came out after the first election last April because he was tired of the ultra-Orthodox hold on marriage, on conversion, on immigration, military, and their exemptions in military service, that they get treated too favorably, have too many privileges, too much power over things that really affect lives. And really a lot of the Russian immigrants that he represents, they've shamed them that they're not Jewish, don't consider them Jewish and such. And so he's drawn a line and he's stuck with it. And in 2 elections now, most Israelis, the way they voted the first time, they voted the second. There's no swing of the pendulum to really figure out where this thing is going. I think that Netanyahu, that the left has wanted to get rid of him for a long time. And there's a couple reasons. First of all, as he rose to power, he came in as leader of Likud and therefore leader of the opposition in the early 1990s, right as Oslo, in 95, right as Oslo was the Oslo process was really gaining traction here, Labor Party under Yitzhak Rabin was moving along. There was a lot of incitement on the right against him, even saying he was a traitor, wearing keffiyeh, and Bibi would show up at different rallies and all, and there'd be posters of Rabin in a keffiyeh, people call him traitor, and the left has always blamed him for adding to the incitement. And I don't believe he did that. He recently said I could have done a little more to quell that, but I never called him a traitor. I never incited against him. But with the assassination of Rabin, they put a lot of the blame on Bibi, and they say the left says that Benjamin Netanyahu killed the best chance Israel's ever had for peace. That's a heavy burden, but that's how a lot of them have felt, and it's not true, it's unfair, but that's why, you know, for whatever reason today, corruption, that's really the reason that some of them, and now that he's served so long, over 13 years, more than David Ben-Gurion. David Ben-Gurion, even though Israel's a democracy, it had, as a society, as a people, they had a sort of a European socialist mentality. Everyone lived austere. No one was really supposed to pursue wealth and get rich. It was like a societal taboo against it. There were a lot of trade unions, a lot of government-owned businesses, and Bibi he's a genius at economic matters. Really, it's quite interesting. As finance minister, before he became prime minister again, and the privatization, his championing of free markets. It's not necessarily capitalism, but he has, it was already headed that way with the high tech, but he has almost single-handedly turned Israel into this startup nation where these Israelis are coming out of R&D in the army and coming up with you know, all sorts of apps for your phones for security, all these high tech, the Mobileye, so many things that for self-driving cars. They're at the forefront.
Cybersecurity as well.
Some Israeli, you know, develops something, and next thing you know, he cashes out for $1 billion to Google or Amazon. And this is the society today. And so the left also blames him for killing the dream that Israel would be like an ideal socialist society, equality, egalitarian, utopian. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Even in the book of Acts, the church says they shared all things, they held all things in common. But, you know, can you do that in a country and whatever? And is there anything really wrong with the free market's competitive? It's shown through, especially in the West, development advances have come because people have incentive to seek wealth, to seek ideas, to seek things. And Bibi, they blame him for killing that utopian dream of an ideal socialist society here. So that's a lot of weight on him, and I think this really, the only thing left is our precious democracy, and the left is saying he is corrupting that. And so you've had a lot of momentum growing. He's been in power so long. He's, you know, feels like he and his family are entitled to live like royals or whatever. It's all nonsense. We know something about how they live, but it's a real, they found a moment where the left says we can finally bring him down after more than a decade, and even back in the 90s when he was prime minister for a while.
Please share this video, and on YouTube, click the button below to become a subscriber.